this is something a lot of people don't know, but JFK was actually assassinated. Well, I wouldn't say assassinated. He was accidentally killed by the Secret Service. So, Osborne actually did try to assassinate JFK. He was up in the tower. He took shots. But as it turns out, we know from the video and the audio recordings that more shots rang out than this man was able to fire. So, one of the things that actually happened was that there was a police or a Secret Service member in the car directly behind JFK, and he was armed with an AR-15 or an M16 style rifle, and he actually stood up and turned around to return fire. So he stood up and he turned around and he was aiming up at the building, and the vehicle lurched. He fell forward, or fell backward really at that point, which pointed forward in relation to the vehicle, and he shot basically over his shoulder, and that is the shot that shot Kennedy in the head. Now, he lived pretty much the rest of his life in exile and quietly retired from the Secret Service. Was broken up about it because obviously you can't fail any worse than that. I mean, if there's a fail compilation out there, that needs to be a part of it, right? I mean, you can't really fail at your job any harder than that. So he did, and he was very broken up about it, but it wasn't a criminal thing. It was just an accident. And so, of course, we should be able to forgive this guy. I know it's like years later, and so a lot of us don't have this. Anyway, this all comes from a documentary that went and figured this out. Now, as it turns out, the actual entrance wound for JFK's fatal shot was too small for the caliber of the bullet that Oswald was firing from the book repository. So we know that it wasn't him. He didn't get to do it. It was exactly the right size for a 5.56 round, which is the NATO round that is fired from M16s and AR-15s. So that's what happened. And that is why there was a cover-up. So I think this is kind of important, right? Because the government screwed up, and the government had to cover up its own actions. This left a lot of breadcrumbs for us to go looking for later on in life, right? So we're all like, wait a minute, this doesn't make any sense. Well, of course it doesn't, because they're trying to cover up their own incompetence. I kind of see this as a template for understanding government cover-ups. I don't necessarily always think, or I think largely there's not malicious intent. Usually there's incompetence, and I'm saying incompetence like it was an incompetent act, even if the person was otherwise competent, because you don't become a member of the Secret Service without being a competent person. So clearly the lurch was probably beyond his control. He couldn't do anything about it. He fell back and it was an accident. Terrible accident. But my point is, when you see government covering things up, don't immediately think aliens or like Russian interference. Just think these people are probably incompetent and they don't want to admit it. That's it.